I'd like to call the June 22nd, 2022 meeting of the Ogden Town Board to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd ask that you remain standing for a moment of silent reflection and prayer for our military servicemen and women serving around the world, as well as for our first responders. Thank you. Well, it's nice to see so many people in attendance here. I know we've got a great recognition to come. We have to start by announcing the public hearing for local law number 2, and then we'll move from there. So.
Please take notice the town board of the town of Ogden will hold and conduct a public hearing to consider the enactment of local law number 2-2022, which public hearing shall be held and conducted and held at the Ogden Community Center, 269 Ogden Center Road, Spencerport, New York, 14559, on the 22nd day of June 22 at 7 p.m. and at which hearing all interested persons shall be heard concerning the subject matter thereof. The proposed local law proposes to amend section 300-56 of the Ogden Town Code and to provide for permitting, regulation, and installation of state certified and regulated outdoor wood furnaces and boilers within the town of Ogden. A full and complete text of such proposed local law is presently on file in the town clerk's office, where it may be examined during all business hours for anybody.
Is there anyone here for the public hearing that is interested in speaking? Very funny. Okay, then we will close the public hearing. Very good. I would like to welcome Chief Chris Mears to start off the presentation. Chief.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for coming. I'd like to thank the family and friends of our award recipients tonight for showing up. Just take a look back here, it's pretty impressive. I'd like to thank the supervisors, Al, and the whole board for allowing us to present these awards tonight. Take up a little of your time at your board meetings. Thank you, gentlemen, for letting us do that. Just a few words of recognition. In the audience tonight, Assemblyman Josh Jensen's here. Senator Robach is here as well. From law enforcement, we also have Sheriff Todd Baxter, Chief Deputy Jason Yasso from the Livingston County Sheriff's Office, Captain Rojas and Captain Rowe from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Lieutenant Tuthill from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Did I miss anybody else from law enforcement tonight? No, and just about everybody from the Ogden Police Department. So thank you all very much for showing up. We're here to recognize some very brave and heroic actions of our, of our police officers here from the town of Ogden. I'm not sure how many people saw the newspaper article or any video footage of the incident that we're talking about here on June 1st. But on that day, a couple of our officers, several of our officers responded to a call for service actually outside of our county in the town of Sweden. Radio call came out for a car that had crashed into a tree. The person was trapped inside the car and the car was on fire. That's pretty unusual. It doesn't happen every day, and it's pretty serious when we hear it. So just about everybody responds. 4 of our department personnel, including me, responded. Several members of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office responded. A deputy chief from the Brockport Fire Department responded. And our officers, as we arrived on scene, we did see that car into a tree with a person trapped inside it and the engine compartment completely engulfed in flames. Officer Jared Dent was the first one there on scene. He was unable to make it tonight, but he was the first person on scene. He immediately tried to extricate the person from the vehicle, but the front doors of the car were pinned shut. The driver was semi-conscious and not very responsive, so he was not able to aid in his own extrication. Officer Dent tried to get him out through the back seat. through the back doors of the vehicle, but he was unable to do so due to the intense heat and the fact that the car seat back was so high that he couldn't get the gentleman over the seat back by himself to get him out. So instead, he attacked the fire immediately with a fire extinguisher until Brockport deputy chief and deputy, who was there first, Shaw arrived first as well. And they all attacked this fire with a number of fire extinguishers. Watching the body camera video, it's just amazing. In the first 2 or 3 minutes of this video, you see these 3 or 4 first responders attacking this fire. 4, 5, 6 fire extinguishers get burned up, used up really quickly, and the fire just keeps coming back and keeps coming back. More and more help starts to arrive, more fire extinguishers are taken out of emergency vehicles, but it's pretty apparent that they're not going to be able to do this job with fire extinguishers until the fire department gets there for extrication. So they came up with a really quick plan on the fly. Deputy Chief Medina from the Brockport Fire Department was able to get in with some turnout gear, and Deputy McCoy, excuse me, did a great job of getting the seat back on the driver's seat to recline, and then they lifted the victim out to the back seat where Investigator Tiger and Sergeant Marcucci were able to drag him from the vehicle, where he was rendered aid right away. Right there, the ambulance was already on scene. The entire time this was going on, there were more first responders just attacking this fire to keep the flames knocked down, to try to keep this person safe. So it was heroic. I think if we were 1 fire extinguisher short or 1 first responder short, we wouldn't be talking about a living person today. We'd be saying, we did everything we could. But these guys really did a fantastic job. So with that being said, I'm going to call up Investigator Tiger and Sergeant David Marcucci. Please come forward. These letters pretty much both say the same thing, but I'm going to go ahead and read them anyway. Just one more. On June 1st, 2022, you monitored a radio call for a single car crash on Salmon Creek Road in the town of Sweden. Initial reports indicated the vehicle was on fire with a person trapped inside. Without hesitation, you responded with lights and siren, and once on scene, you observed the vehicle had collided with a tree, and the engine compartment was engulfed in flames. The driver was trapped in the front seat, semi-conscious and unresponsive. The front doors of the vehicle were pinned shut by the impact in an act of courage involving risk of imminent serious physical injury to yourself. And with the knowledge of that risk, for the purpose of saving and protecting a human life, you immediately began suppressing the fire with fire extinguisher, and when it was obvious that the fire was beyond suppression, you worked with other first responders, other members of the agency, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, and the Brockport Fire Department to extricate your crash victim from the burning car. All was done without protective gear and at great risk to yourselves. That driver is alive today because of your actions, and all those of the first responders who were with you. I commend your actions of bravery on that date, and I present you with the Ogden Police Department's Distinguished Service Award. Disaster. And blood and everything else. So this is the start. Again, this is for us retired. Congratulations again, guys. Any words?
That's right. I will. I was just going to say thank you for coming out and supporting us. Truly, the chief had said it, the school department saying it was a effort. It really was. I mean, we literally, I know for a fact that if we didn't have one more extinguisher, he wouldn't be here. So we're saying just meet him. I think all of us, I know I am. And we definitely was effort. Everybody helped out. Just I think a once in a career opportunity. Pretty close.
Could you hold them up? Oh. Pretty good. Let's try to be true. Again, I would just like to thank family and friends for coming. It's a big deal for us to get honored for this. Thank you to the board. I can just echo what you guys just said. One less person there, one less deputy, one less ambulance showed up. We can talk about this later. We had a great outcome because all the agencies came together and did what we had to do. So thank you. Appreciate it. Don't
go anywhere.
You're
I'd like to ask Deputy James Shaw, Deputy Dan, is it Salura? To come on board, as well as Deputy Brian McCoy. Yes. And much of this, of what took place has already been stated. Before I get to my remarks here, I just wanted to thank you guys entirely for your participation in all of this. But I have some friends that equally want to share a few words. I say a few, but they're state elected officials. So we've got Assemblyman Josh Jensen and former Senator Joe Lobach, who wanted to be here and celebrate you guys as well. So I'd like to welcome you, gentlemen.
Thank you. So let's spread it out a little bit. Good evening, everybody. I'm Assemblyman Josh Jensen. It's my pleasure to be here tonight. It's my honor to represent Todd Ogden in the New York State Assembly. But what makes my service so rewarding is the people who live in the communities that I represent. And what we heard, the story from Chief Mears, looking back on that day, it is the men and women in law enforcement who you never know what you're responding to. That day was a fire, a car fire, something you probably in your wildest dreams going through the police academy never thought you were going to encounter and have to save somebody's life from the dangers of a fire, not from somebody who's going to commit harm. And so on behalf of the men and women of the 134th District and the people of New York State, I want to present a proclamation first to Chief Mears, and I will give one to Sheriff Baxter as well, in recognition of your agency's work, because it wasn't just that these men in uniform knew what to do the moment they showed up. It was because of the training they received from the agency. It's the culture that's been instilled to put their lives on the line for other people, not worry about the risk of themselves. And it's their heroic actions that lead to the lives of other people being saved. So on behalf of the people of New York State, on the 134th Assembly District, thank you, Chief, and thank you to your officers. I also have each of the guys up here a assembly citation recognizing you for your heroism and your actions that day. So, start with the wrong. Nope, just kidding. Try this again. There you go. Thank you. I know, right? That's very helpful. There you go. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. This Joe Rex of the Real Coy.
Good evening, everybody. Joining along, I'm actually here representing Senator Rob Ortt, who was one of my colleagues when I was in the Senate. And we did not want to let this go unnoticed. In our conference, the Republican conference, we talk about public safety all the time. And I just want to add a little different dimension to this. What you did truly was great, heroic. But what I love about it is not only honoring you, we can go out and amplify this story now, put it in the record of the state legislature, because it's so critically important now. You literally embody what 99.9% of policemen and women do every day. You risk your life. You're thinking about every way you can make the public safer. Yet we have to live in an environment with some political people want to defund the police instead of defend them, despite what you do. So you are now not only done a great heroic thing to save this individual, but bring honor to your profession, but really are a shining example of why we have to win the battle on this fight for public safety, both in policy and the damage that would have happened if you weren't there, or as the chief said, if there was one less officer on the job responding there, the outcome might have been completely different. So thank you really for what you do in this particular instance, but also on behalf of the entire really state of New York, Senator Rob Orr, thank you for being really such great stand-up people and such an honor to your profession. And I know we're going to do everything we can to make sure everybody knows the story. And really, you're going to be part of turning this trend we need to turn down. Now, because I was a former legislator, I have another 15 minutes I'd like to give you. But I'm not. It's all about you tonight. But thank you really from the bottom of our hearts for being so great. And I want you to know, really, people are talking about it in both individually, but globally. You make such a great difference. I'm honored to be here for Senator Orr with all your family and friends, just to say thank you from the bottom of our heart. And thank you for what you do every day. God bless you.
And while Mr. Robach is passing those out, I wanted to kind of close with a few remarks. And I want to explain that we did do a recognition with the Rockport Fire Department and also with the Spencerport Fire Department. And this is probably my biggest takeaway. And this is my 6th month, almost 7th month in this position as town supervisor. And my biggest takeaway from this situation is that a group of people from various departments, law enforcement and fire, decided that this person wasn't going to remain in this spot. And that was the biggest takeaway that I had. Nobody, checked whose rank was what. Nobody looked at what department anyone was from. They saw this thing and they ran into a car that was on fire, which is against every one of what your mother said that you're allowed to do. And sorry. What a testament to you, Mom. Seriously. I got 4 boys myself. So while that scares the hell out of me, I would be very proud. And I'm sure you are too. I'd like to actually welcome Sheriff Baxter to stand next to your colleague as well. And my part of this is just to say this. First of all, the chief had very specific instructions that he wasn't going to be recognized. And I said, well, hey, it's nice to be the supervisor. I'll do what I want. And not only that, but secretly, about 4 or 5 people in their office pulled me aside and said, hey, you better make sure you got something for him. We already did. And here's why. And Sheriff, this is for you as well. A lot of the bravery of the people that you represent is because of the leadership at the time. You mentioned, Chief, that if there was one less first responder or one less fire extinguisher, that this person wouldn't have gotten out. Well, guess what? You were there and you also had at least one fire extinguisher, so that same is true with you. And to have people that work in law enforcement at the top that aren't just the paper pushers, I know that. That would drive you guys nuts. But that you are on the ground and you're doing the work, and inspires you. You're men and women to do what you do. And they see that and they reflect that. So on behalf of this community, for the work that you both do in conjunction with each other and making this community safer, we're all very grateful. The board is very grateful. I'm sure everybody out there is very grateful. So thank you very much for everything that you do, and of course to everybody else that's here as well. We are eternally grateful, and that's why we wanted to take the time to do this. So I want to invite the board members and anybody that wants to come up and just say congratulations quick, and then we'll go from there. So come on down, guys. Thank you so much.
I know, we're all going the wrong ways. I know, I'm telling you, the radio when you do this. Have everybody come together for a quick photo. So. Just us.
Could you squeeze in a little bit?
Wide angle.
Great, thank you.
Thank you guys very much. Okay.
Todd, how you doing? Why didn't you just put out a recommendation? And what do you think? Sound because I think they're misusing it as a buffer, so Jeremy is refused to take the endorsement. Oh, yeah. They want to interview one. Wouldn't be the law, wouldn't be the law enforcement. Now thanks, guys. Hey, Joe. Hey, I just want to say, I'm a guy who writes a motorcycle. Nothing like that. I'm not a outlaw. I'm just a guy who likes the motorcycle.
We're right together, exactly. For the record.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Why don't we, sure. You're gonna share, really know what. Okay. Somebody? That's a good question. A little distant for me.
Yeah.
I didn't guess you someone's brother. City Cup. What a nice treat. Yeah. It really, really was. Let's move forward here. We have approval of the minutes resolution 186. So move. Second. Moved by Councilman Tom, second by Councilman Baker. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries. Next item is privilege of the floor. Is anyone here who would like to address the board at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to reports from town officers. I have, on behalf of the town board, I submitted or I requested $1,000 to be donated to the Spencer Court Canal Days. This is not something that the board has done for a couple of years, and traditionally does. So on your behalf, that's something that was also budgeted. We're saying it out loud, but we are partners with Spencer Court Canal Days. We, as you know, we had a vacancy for our DARE officer, and this was an email that was sent out, but we feel as though that we have identified an individual that might be able to step into the place for the DARE officer, get the training, and be able to also receive some part-time officers, as we do believe that we will have resignation from our part-time officer coming shortly. And we're going through the steps right now for that, but that's actually something that we weren't exactly sure we were going to have on time for the next school year. And it looks like we got a good chance at that. So that's really good. We did enter into an agreement with Bella Associates for grant writing for the comprehensive plan. I don't want to discuss putting together the steering committee in work session just after that. The last thing that I have from my report here is that we did just get an estimate for the ADA compliant door at the front of Little Red. This is going to have the push button open, and we're working on getting fob out there and everything, and that was actually under $5,000 to be able to really put all of that together, which is great. That's one of the first updates that we have from Little Red. You also have a packet for your review that's got a number of the other things that are proposed to us for the building. So that is my report. Councilman Baker.
Appreciate everybody coming out for the Spencerport Firemen's Parade. It was, despite just the little rain shower that we had in the middle of it, I think everybody had fun. It was great to see the town out. It was great to see the highway department with their trucks out. I could tell just from being on the viewing stand that everybody really had a good time. It was nice seeing our town board members walking the crowd and handing out candy and just mingling with everybody.
You gotta throw it next time. It's too slow to get to everybody.
And it's unfortunate that the police had to leave because part of the planning that goes into the parade and also with the carnival in general for the week is we put together an incident action plan with the cooperation of the sheriff's office, the OPD, state police, and EMS services. And Captain Rojas was part of that IAP committee that we had together, and along with Chief Mears and some others. So it's great having this collaboration with members of our town, along with the fire department that put so much thought and effort into putting an event like that together. People don't see that, and a lot of them don't understand the work that goes into that. And it's a key component of it to keep people safe. So I congratulate them in those efforts as well. So that's it.
Very good. Thank you, Aaron. Councilman Hinman.
Not much other than the fact that Supervisor Dell and myself have been able to meet with some of the applicants. Been pleasantly surprised that a lot of people are showing interest in the zoning board vacancy. And so we've been able to interview some positions. We got more on this Friday. So, but it's just, I'm more encouraged just the fact that there's so much interest, and just think that's really good that the community is involved and want to be a part of things. So, a lot of good people that are coming forward, and we'll see what the decisions come up, what decisions are made. But so far, so good. That's all I got.
Very good. Councilman Perry.
I have no report. Thank you.
All right, sir. Councilman Thomas.
Yes, briefly, I met with the library once again. And other than their standard board meeting, we did talk about an audit that they had gone through on some of the policies, and kind of reflected on some of the policies that you talked about. Visiting again with our town, and conflict of interest was one. Their depreciation policy. I'm not sure I quite understand this one, because we talked a little bit about capital assets versus expense dollars. And so I think they're going to revisit that one, see if there really is true depreciation within the library assets or not. And they also talked about their disaster recovery policy, which is one that we've also talked about. And I also interjected that they need to add their business continuity along with that. They're looking at that policy.
Very good. I guess I'll jump back in and say that our fire marshal is making a lot of progress on our emergency action plan as well. I forgot to mention that. We did talk about that in our department. Dan Mold, highway superintendent.
Forward.
Nothing going on in the highway.
Just make her spine.
Well, that's one way to do it. Let's see. This is earlier.
I just want to mention that I got back from the records management training in Albany. So we're starting to get the ball rolling on and doing a little bit more electronic storage of some of our records. So you'll be hearing more of that.
Very good. Thank you. Dan Chung.
As mentioned in the pre-meeting meeting, It was brought to my attention that slab on grade construction is prohibited in the town code, which I was aware of, but really hadn't honed in on. And despite that prohibition, it seems as though slab on grade has been allowed to function on townhouses and condominiums and some other single family residential construction. So I drafted a quick proposed local law for the board's consideration. It's circulated it, I believe, to the supervisor of the building department for future consideration. The local law removes that prohibition, allows for that type of construction. We had a public hearing tonight. It took about 32 seconds. No one spoke in favor of or against the proposed local law amendment to the town code. I would look for some direction from the board. We normally do not take it up at the same meeting that the public hearing is held, so it would be either July or August for that. And still working on, in conjunction with the Recreation Department Supervisor's Office and whatnot, on trying to come to some written agreement concerning the continuing saga of Sahara and the senior activities at that facility. That's it.
Thank you very much. There being no unfinished business, we will move into new business, Madam Clerk.
Resolution 187, authorizing an amendment to the Town of Ogden's DocuWare contract for the purpose of increasing storage capacity.
Moved by Councilman Tom, seconded by Councilman Perry. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries. Next item. Please.
Resolution 188, authorizing the town to enter into a contract agreement with Taylor, Fryer, and Kuhn and XS brokers for cyber insurance coverage.
I'll move that.
Seconded. Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Tom. Any discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries. Next item, please.
Resolution 189, adjusting the town budget and authorizing the procurement of an updated plotter and copier for the Highway Department's Administration Office.
I'll move.
Seconded. Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Perry. Is there any discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries. Next item, please.
Resolution 190, authorizing the purchase of an additional surveillance camera from Integrated Systems for the highway parking lot.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Tom. Councilman Tom, any discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Resolution 191, authorizing the use of ARPA funds for the procurement of equipment and installation services related to the town's septic system repairs.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Councilman Tom, seconded by Councilman Perry. Any discussion on these items? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Resolution 192, authorizing the town to dispose of property no longer needed for public purpose.
So moved. Second that. Moved by Councilman Perry, seconded by Councilman Tom. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries. For a matter of a motion to adjourn to work session.
So moved.
Second, Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Perry. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, we will move to work session.